All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to look at the Bitcoin block halving events, and we're going to compare all our Bitcoin halving events right against this halving event that we're going to have in March 24. So let's take a quick look at each one of these movements in time, and we're also at the end, we will take this one and compare it as well to our current structure. All right, so let's just move forward. Also, I just wanted to talk about really quickly the events that started Bitcoin and the dates that we need to be aware of in the future. Now, August and these January months, those periods represent the beginnings of Bitcoin. Kind of like when we create a baby, we the sperm has to come up the canal and connect with the egg. So this is pretty much what's happening, in a broader sense, the creation of something. So it's a birthday, kind of like with animals and humans and corporations and anything that starts. All right, so let's just now go take a better look at what this market cycle just did and compare it to this one. All right, let me make this a little bigger. We'll go to our comparison. Let's go find our bar pattern. All right, I'm just going to slide this over now. Now I want to line this up as close as possible so that when we are making a determination that we are in fact lining up the data points correctly. And let's just go take a little look at this now that storm gain might be settling down and allowing us to do that. All right. Well, we've had our bottoms here, and it's pretty close. It's not 100% exact, but we're going to open this up a little bit and just make it a little easier. Boy, Storm Gain sure hates working with me. Always fighting with Storm Gain. Nothing new. Okay, so our halving event occurred here, and in our previous cycle, we had an event here, and then we had a little bit of a bottom and a sideways move. Now, we didn't have the amplitude here. However, we did do a bottoming pattern here, and we did go sideways, and it is reflective in the fact that we moved sideways off this bottom and we created a higher low. So that's important. Anytime we have a higher low, that indicates strength in the market, especially when it's accompanied by higher highs. That as well signifies that higher prices are expected. As we can see, a higher low here, higher high, higher low, higher highs. We know it's up. So let's go take a look at our comparison now. After we've made it out of this period, we had our first blip up. We in this comparison, we are seeing that we had a top here in our present cycle. The previous one well, continued to move sideways and upward, where our cycle currently moved sideways and was very low in volume and activity, and then sparked an abrupt move up. And that coincides really well with this area here where we start to generate significant moves up and then a little corrective bottom. Whereas you can see we moved up and we just sat down, and then again, right from this point here now, we got very active again. And where would our next top be? Well, looking at this, it's perfectly pointing to this area here. Now, that doesn't mean that this has to follow along and do exactly what it did do. We're just making a determination and we're looking for a logical understanding. So the market gained a footing just like it did here. We had this pullback right here, and I'm just going to make all this a little bigger and easier on the eyes. My eyes are starting to get a little bad as I'm getting older here. All right, so we're saying here that this pullback here, come on, Storm Game, get lost. We're seeing this pullback is equivalent and matching. So we do have a relationship. So from there, this melted up, and our current cycle did the same thing. We moved up fairly rapidly. Are we going to top at the same place? Well, guys, this is why we're doing this. You know, it's truth is stranger than fiction. It's just so eerie. Well, where could we expect our next capitulation bottoms? Well, let's look at our previous cycle. Our previous cycle is right on time with our pullbacks. Okay, well, doesn't mean that every single time it has to do the same thing. So a comparison is really necessary. So from a bottom like this, we could expect, we could have a top. And inside of our current cycle, we've had this downward sideways with this weird little kick up right here in this one. And it's sort of reflective in our blue bars here. They're 1 to 2 weeks apart. So it's pretty much a dead on hit. And then where would we expect our next buying level or bottom? Well, it's lining up really nice with this. So very eerie. And again, truth is stranger than fiction. And here we go. So where could we expect our next topping area or change? Well, looking at this, we can see that this previous cycle moved up really aggressively, really aggressive, and peaked out at the same time frame as we did. It's very eerie, you know, and this is why we're doing this. This is why Gann talked about studying the past cycles and the past movements and comparing them. He was always talking about this. He was a very studious trader. He took all the data and he just chewed it to pieces. And this is why he was very, very, very successful. All right, so we've made our top here, and looks like we're right on time. Where can we expect another change in trend and pullback? Well, we had ours here in this previous cycle, and the present one, we have a red bar that's right beside that. Let's make it a little bigger so we can see it. That's pretty much on time, folks. Come on, guys. So, where can we expect again our next possible rally top and selling? Well, looking at our previous cycle, it's on time right now with our present cycle. So, that being said, would the next move down in our blue cycle here, would that coincide with this cycle? Well, again, guys, truth is stranger than fiction. And sure enough, look at this kick up here. Our previous cycle had this same kick up in time frame, and I want to point out our last topping area for our current market. And here we are with this previous cycle. We had our last topping area. Like, it didn't get above this. Like, look, it tried and it couldn't, showing extreme weakness. So where could we expect another change? Well, we know that something was going to be happening here. And looking at this, I would have expected that, we'd possibly have a top somewhere. And this one did. Now, our current cycle had this push down and this resistance to moving up, and topped out here, right here, currently topped out. And then what happened? Well, moving down, the previous cycle bottom was here. And guys, here we go again. Truth is stranger than fiction. And then what happened? Well, we made a bottom and we had a little kick up and these sideways movements until our last buying top. Look, look, guys, this is why this is so important to do technical analysis and study the past. The past is but a repetition of the future. Not every single time, but it rhymes and it sure is close. So from that top in our previous cycle to our present, we've had a tumultuous fall off in our previous cycle. This cycle has been, we've sort of just meandered down. Really, we're not finding the energy yet to go down. So I'm expecting that we're going to be having some event or something is going to be happening that is going to be driving us up. And it's just eerie that our previous cycle is matching our current cycle pretty much to a T. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, this stuff is, it's pretty much dead on. It's dead on. I definitely am paying attention. So we have two more determinations to do in comparison. So let's not lose our head just yet. So from here, we're talking that this November into December, and I've been talking about we could have a December bottom. I've been talking about this in our tutorials. You've seen it in the past tutorials. I've kept it on the screen so that you can see it. I'm not removing any of the data that I have established there. It's for us to determine whether or not we're making wise decisions or if we're being foolish and if we're in fact being faked out. So let's just pay attention. So moving ahead now, I'm expecting that by around the Christmas area, we could have this pullback and then another tumultuous move up. And that, again, I'm calling for a bottom in February. You all know that my forecasts call for a bottom. So this moves up and makes a bottom. So that's still in line with my forecasting. All right, so where could we expect yet another major turn of events? Well, we have this March period coming up in this new year where we are talking about a great reset event and whatnot. So that's kind of significant. We don't know what to fully expect from all of this. So from there, we know that May represents a very, very, very bearish area. Let's just take a look, folks. May, bearish. Yeah. May, bearish. Just so, is it possible that we are going to see again events up into the May period and then a pullback? Now, let's just be mindful. We're just making a determination. That's all we're doing. We're just trying to make a logical determination. So that I'm calling for a bottom in July, and this model is playing out really nicely, and I'm going to just pay attention to what it's saying. So August, we might have our kick up top, and that would coincide with our last year, or with our current August 15th. So next year we could have another August quick top, and then down into our October and November period here, we would have another change in trend, much like what we're maybe going to see right in here. So we're just going to pay attention to that and be mindful. Well, from there, where would the next perceivable top come? Well, we know that this December period here has shown a top or a formation pattern, and it subsided more or less at the end of November and the early part of December. So we could see the very same thing happen here. So we're just going to be mindful of that. So next possible pullback could run us into this January period. You know, it's certainly possible. Anything is possible with Bitcoin. It's a very volatile asset, security, whatever you want to call it or deem it. So from there, we will just be watching these time dates and see if they are correlating with our present cycle. All right, well, that's about as far as we can get with that determination. Let's go take a look at our next one and see how well it has, in fact, aligned. All right, Bitcoin, or sorry, Stargain. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's go take a look at our next one. And our next one is going to be this one right here. So let's go see what this is going to show us. All right. Stormgain's going to start flashing here right away. Get all upset at me. Oh yeah, here it is. Stormgain. That's so funny. Okay, so we're just going to move this forward because we need to align it with our current structure. Oh, Stormgain. All right, so I've got this really close right now. Let's just get it right on there. Okay, thank you, Stargain. Okay, guys, that's lined up right on there. Geez, you know what? It looks like I just reused the same one. Boy, that looks ridiculous. All right, let's go take a look. All right, so okay, so hopefully we've got this right. Stormgain's all upset at us again. Stormgain is just incredible. I tell you, just incredible. All right, so let's just take this. Be very patient with Stormgain. Testing my patience to no end. Oh, I see. something happened here. Okay, well, let's get that. Wow, I tell you, nothing like storm gain to make y'all happy. Okay, it's pretty much there. Wow, storm gain. I will be leaving you and going to a much better site. That's right, storm gain. It's going to be over soon for me and you. Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, let's take a look at what we can learn from this. This was our next Bitcoin 4-year cycle. Had a bit of a kick up. We went sideways. Then we had a tumultuous move up here, coinciding with this. However, our current cycle moved down and made a bottom here, while the previous cycle moved up and created a swing top, quite a significant one at that. So from there, where could we expect another top or bottom? Well, in the previous cycle, we had a bottom here, and it's a reverse correlation here. However, I want you to note that we do have reverse correlations and then a reset. And right in here, we have these two bars in our current market that are sort of similar, eerily matching here. So, what could we expect from another top or a move up? Well, looking at this, we had a breakout here and we moved up, and our previous cycle topped out again right in here, and in our current cycle we were topping out starting this March and into this early April. So we had that, and then we had this big pullback right here. Like, this just took out everyone on the previous cycle, and then it just took off and it was super lit, and really was a reverse correlation between what we saw here in this move down. And looking at this, here's again another sort of reset bottom in our previous cycle, which coincides perfectly with our June bottom here in 21. So eerily. So again, this cycle was topping and continuously making a bottom, whereas we were fighting and resisting. We made a lower bottom here at the time when this made its secondary and lower top, indicating that a lot of weaknesses ahead. Here, ours was seeing that, well, we're not quite done yet, and we could expect another move up. So, what could we expect here? Well, looking at this, our cycle came in here with a top and a swing top, and we had another pullback. Wasn't the same amplitude, but we are looking for a comparison. And there again, a reverse. We had our bottom, and then we got excited and we moved up, and we stopped currently here where this cycle had made a current bottom. It just low volume and doing nothing, had a quick fake out, which would be in line with our top here. And then from there, we've rolled down. And where could we expect a bottom? Well, we had our first major one here, and our secondary one lines up on time with our previous cycle. Very eerie. So, again, what can we expect? Can we expect a swing top here? In our current cycle, we have this swing top, and we've had in our previous cycle, we swung right up and we made this last top here before again more weakness ensued, and that's exactly what happened. So from here, we had a top and a bottom here in our previous cycle and a reset. And we moved up in this cycle here. And of course, you can see that we moved down in our current one, and we made this spike bottom right here, and this last level top here. We made this level right in our current cycle, coincides perfectly with this. Where could we expect our bottoms to come in? Well, currently, we had them here. Our, our previous cycle carried on and subsided here. Now, we do have a bottom in this July period. The amplitude isn't quite the same. However, we're looking for a relationship and symmetry. So in this, our current cycle, we peaked out here. However, we peaked out. I mean, you can just see this little blue bar here. It's kind of eerily the same. However, we moved down in our current market, and the previous one, we continued to make a topping pattern to the channel top of this older swing top. What did we do? Well, we made a swing top too, right on time, but of course the amplitude is much less. So the energy was much less. So can we expect this sideways bottom right here and then a move up? And I'm talking about a move up to November 28th. I'm also talking about a move up into this October 10th where it rolls over. So those are just my feelings and thoughts looking at the data. And I've left them for you to see in all my tutorials. I won't remove any of it because I feel that if I'm wrong, I want you to know because I want to know if I'm wrong. And I want to be able to look at that and learn something from it. That's really what I want to do. I just really want to know everything. So, are we going to have this next swing top out into our January after our December bottom? It's our Christmas bottom could come in. We could have that and a little kick up, and then down into this March. And as you guys all know, I'm calling for a February bottom. I'm a bad news bears, and that's just my stance. Once I see a bull market unfold, then I'll change my stance. But at this point, right now, we're very cautious. So we have a tumultuous period coming up into this March period. We're not sure of what to expect. So from that, we could therein get a swing bottom here. It's possible and likely. And from there, where could we expect a top? Well, again, we've been talking about these Mays before, right? Every time we get into this May period right here, we dive. Every time we get into a May period, death. So is that going to occur? We're going to have a run up after our reset has unfolded, and we do a 2 month move up. It's possible. And then, of course, we maybe sit down again and take another run at our channel top. It's possible. It doesn't mean that necessarily has to happen. We usually have bottoms around these areas, as you know, and in July of the 23 tutorials, I'm a bad news bearer. This February and July, that I call for the bottoms, and I'm not changing my standpoint until I can see that the data has in fact turned. All right, so after our July, what can we expect later on in the year? This August we and September is very bad on stocks. So we could get into this low volume sideways area and then stocks again in this next year recover and have a possible move up with Bitcoin. And as you know, stocks and Bitcoin, They have a correlation where they walk in step with each other. Every once in a while, they do uncouple. However, for the most part, we know that they're correlated together. So, could we expect a December top a year from now? Certainly. I mean, the cycle has shown that's what it did in the past, but that's not necessarily what will happen. We just need to be mindful that, you know, the past is kind of a gauge stick for us. We need to be mindful of that. All right, so we've done our next determination. Let's go have a look at our very first Bitcoin block events and see what we can learn from that. All right, so moving down now, right to the beginning of Bitcoin, we're coming to our historic area where Bitcoin has, you know, it's grown. It's been a crazy ride. So we're just going to go from our bottom, and we're going to line it up with our halving event, and we'll line it up with our halving event in our current cycle. All right, so we're going to let Storm Gain have a little bit of a hissy fit and then calm down. Mm, come on, Storm Gain. Come on, Storm Gain. Just really got to be patient with Storm Gain. Really patient. It's just double flashing now. It's really ticked off at me. Oh, well. What do we care? It's just technology. Okay, so that was our ending. So we need to bring this up and align it correctly. Let's, let's just go and do that as soon as Storm Gain is going to calm down. It's an awful lot like having an ex-girlfriend or whatever. Okay. So we want to line up this right with our event. Okay, Storm Gain, get lost. Okay. All right, guys, we have lined up our first Bitcoin halving event. We don't have a lot of data, as you know, from that first Genesis block, Bitcoin and the mining of it and the understanding of it was veiled in quite a bit of secrecy, but also people didn't understand what it was that was approaching them. So we don't have very much to work with here. So I'm just going to make the apology for the fact that we don't have the data. And in doing this determination here, we know that things got crazy back. And can we expect a bottom in February? Well, as you guys know, over and over again, I am bad news bears for February and also this July period. You guys know that I'm a bad news bears, and until I see data that is positive and correlates to a significant change, I'm still a bad news bears. That does not mean that I'm not expecting, as you know, I am fully expecting a bounce up into this October area, October 10th. And this model right here is is exactly where my forecasts are talking about us having a possible extreme spike top like this. And like I said, it would we would have a bottom around the end of the month, and it would persist till about November 8th or whatever, and then from there I said we would have a top in the 28th of December, but or November, sorry, and the first days of December we would have a top. So this is kind of scary, and it's rhyming, and just I'm really worried about and concerned about these moves here, where this is really the death of many of an investor if you're not careful and have your positions guarded properly, and just say you're the exchange that you're working on. Some exchanges, there's been a lot of exchanges that have not honored the stop losses that have been put onto trading positions. They have not respected the stop losses that people have put on their trades. So make sure that you're with a good exchange that's recognized, that's regulated. I know regulation sounds bad always, it always sounds like government control is never good for us. But, and the flip side of that, we do need to have exchanges that provide truthful trading and respect the traders that sign up on their sites and do trade. So just pay attention to that. That's happened. There's some really good sites out there that you can look at. BitGet's a good one. There's a bunch. Just take your time, have a look around. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial here where we talked about the Bitcoin halving events. And in the next tutorial, we're going to talk about 1,000 days after the tops, the fast moves that happen in Bitcoin and have happened. And we're going to talk about those in the next tutorial. So please be patient, and look forward to seeing you in the next one. Like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Tear it to pieces. Just rip it to pieces. That's what I want. I want you guys thinking, and I want you guys, you know, hitting me up with what you think. That would really be that'd be good to hear back. Okay, you guys, safe trading. Be mindful. We're on the cusp of some possible changes in trend. Have a great day, guys.